And joining us now is CBS News legal analyst Jack Ford. Great to have you with us, Jack.
Rebecca, good morning.
So the defense is confident now about this new DNA evidence, but should they be?
Well, I think they're as confident as they can be. You know, until you get a decision from a court. Anybody who's tried cases for a living will tell you, you're never sure until you hear either that knock from the jury or the judge gives an answer here. But certainly, they are a lot happier now than they were a while ago. Because as we just heard a few moments ago, this report takes that DNA evidence and really blows it out of the water. So if you're the defense attorneys right now, you're thrilled about this.
You're thrilled. What does it mean for Amanda's boyfriend, Rafael Solicito?
Well, he's basically tagging along with her. You know, everybody's talking about Amanda Knox. He's in this appeal also. So all of this evidence that's coming in, and again, remember, there were two sort of parallel planes here in terms of the prosecution. The first was evidence primarily by a guy who said he saw them, the two of them, near the scene at the time that the murders happened, right? In the appeal here, and the appeals are very different in Italy. It's a second trial, really, very different from what we get here in the United States. But earlier on, essentially, they destroyed the credibility of that witness, said he was on drugs, he had his dates all wrong. So what it leaves them focusing, the prosecution now, is the DNA evidence. And again, DNA evidence is very powerful, very compelling. So if the experts testify according to this report, there's no reason to doubt that they will, that they won't, then what you're going to have is the core of this case, because there are no eyewitnesses, there are no confessions. You'll have the core of this case, the scientific evidence, thrown completely into doubt. Because they're saying now, you know, the smoking knife, if we can mix our murder metaphors here.
Sure.
But that's what the prosecution said. This was the knife, and it was found at the boyfriend's house. And the prosecution said, on the blade is the blood of the victim. That's really powerful stuff. Well, these experts are saying, no, no, no.
There's not enough of it.
They're saying a combination of not enough for us to test it ourselves, but they're saying the testing procedures you all used, the prosecution's expert, were flawed, and they're saying the whole thing might have been contaminated. So if you take the knife out of the equation here, and it sounds like that's what's going to happen, the prosecution is left with almost nothing.
The question then is, how do these things even get contaminated in the first place? And does that raise a bigger issue about how the trial is conducted?
Well, you know, the notion of evidence and contamination, remember, this was all played out in the O.J. Simpson murder trial. The question of, you know, was the evidence taken? Was it secured properly? Did you have the right chain of custody? Here, the experts are saying that these things were found later. They were lying around scenes afterwards. Nobody can absolutely with certainty say that this is how we controlled this evidence to protect it from any contamination. So clearly, once you raise doubts about the process, and again, this goes back to the O.J. Simpson arguments, what Johnny Cochran said, you know, if you raise doubts about the process, you can't be confident about the conclusions, and that's what the defense is going to argue when they have a chance to sum this whole thing up.
And he went free. Is the same going to be true for Amanda?
You know what? The way it looks right now, you're never sure, because there's still, you know, these experts have to testify. They'll be cross-examined. There'll be arguments made to the jurors and the judges here. But right now, if you're handicapping this case with everything that's blown up for the prosecution, I think you got to be a lot more confident that Amanda Knox, come September or so, may well walk out the door.
Jack Ford, as always, we appreciate it.
All right,
Thanks for
Rebecca.
being with us.